Yo, Mama. Sorry, Dr. Mama.
How do you think this year's gonna go for these new students?
I'm psyched.
You're excited for the first day of school?
Why is everybody so rich?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys were sort of born around or after the original Saved by the Bell hit the air. When you got the call about like the casting and the auditions, did you bone up or did you go in fresh? And then I have to imagine that like there's some things in the episodes that it would be helpful to sort of get the refs.
Well, my parents grew up watching the show, and we would always, like, if it was on TV, I would always watch it with them. So I was very familiar with the show, but it was years since, me actually sitting down and actually watching it by choice. And I definitely, once I got the audition, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna pop it on, and I'm gonna see. I skimmed through a few episodes just to like refresh my memory. But I actually put a lot of myself in my character as Daisy. And I think that's something that I'm very thankful for, because I can relate to her. So I felt like there was a sense of creativity, creativeness that I can bring to her, and just almost a realness to her. So it was a little bit of both. I think there was like a good balance in that.
Yeah, you're certainly not playing like an updated version of any existing character. Do you know what I mean?
No,
which is great.
yeah.
That's
I was
ridiculous.
like, I'm gonna make it my own. Yeah. I'm like, not everyone is the same. People come from so many different places, grow up so many different ways, think so differently. So why do we have to be, so like boxed in? And I definitely took that, and I erased that box, and I was like, here I am.
So I hadn't seen the show growing up, and when I got the audition, I was super excited, just like everybody else, to find out that they were bringing the show back, and especially in a more present and kind of a different capacity, with a more involved storyline. It's about two high schools over one. And so once I got the audition, I had already met Elizabeth auditioning, and then I dove into the episodes to get a feel for what Bayside was like back in the day, get a feel for all the characters, especially Jessie Spano, and kind of talk with her about how that would translate to present day, what it would be like as she's an adult and being her son and everything.
Dexter, what about you? Your character, you don't need to watch the original show at all.
But I grew up a fan. I'm the oldest of the new six. So, growing up watching it every Saturday morning and understanding like the diversity at Bayside for what it was then, and helping to include it in what diversity means now was really, really special for me. And, I love Zach Morris. I actually have a shirt somewhere in my closet that says I love Zach Morris before I even got the show. So, I was very privy and understood what kind of history and lineage that they've already previously established. And I did go back and rewatch a lot of the episodes once I found out I got the role, but I have been familiar with them from watching it.
It's a fun show, and it has notes of the original for sure. But it's also, there are topical issues like that are sort of like spurring along the storylines. Like you're dealing with school funding. You're dealing with the combination of two schools from different parts of LA that might be 5 miles apart, but seem like worlds apart. How do you think comedy or a show like Saved by the Bell can help get a political message across, or not political message, maybe like open some eyes?
Humor makes people comfortable. It's easier to be receptive, and it's easier to accept knowledge when you're happy. And I think what Tracy Wigfield does is a beautiful, she found a beautiful way to transport and like transfer so many important messages through comedy. And it's allowing people the opportunity to listen and understand that these topics still exist in a very, very real way. But they now have a welcoming energy to maybe look inside of themselves and say, okay, well, maybe I do need to talk about what tax funding means. Maybe what I do need to understand what it means to live in lower income areas. And maybe I do need to understand what it's like being a Black man in a predominantly white high school. And so I think finding ways of communication through laughter is important. And it makes people feel a little bit more welcoming to the topics that we are discussing. And it's important to have that at Bayside.
I think the conversations that we have on our show aren't comedic whatsoever. They're actually these really important conversations that are really on topic of the times that we're having. But our show does it so beautifully by, I think, disarming the audience and allowing, hopefully, demographics of all different age ranges, all different perspectives and backgrounds to be able to have these conversations at home. So our show obviously talks about the lack of funding in schools, which is a very real issue, the importance of representation and diversity and intersectionality, and uplifting communities like the LGBTQIA plus community, but in a way that I think allows people to not be scared to talk about things. I think for so long, a lot of these conversations and topics have been taboo, but our Saved by the Bell mirrors the world that we live in now and allows us to have those conversations in an unconventional, wacky, comedic way.
Even just in the first episode when you were like talking about like, oh, I don't have a smartphone. Like I have this, you know, there's a reference, there's a callback to the first show, the original show and all that, but like there is some sort of underlying, like, what do we expect from kids here? And what do we expect in different communities?
And I think that's one of the reasons why, as my character, I'm passionately like motivated to like make sure there's equality and fairness, and not everyone has the resources or the funds for to access this higher education. You know, so I really love how they put that in there, and it plays very well, and it relates back to like my childhood and me not being able to have like, you know, a school that was like that advanced. Like I would have loved something like that, but unfortunately we didn't have that growing up. So it hits home. It's really good.
There's an episode, I don't want to give too much away, but there's an episode where there are some iPads go missing, and there's some implication that your character Devante has stolen them. Yeah. And it's like, no, it's not like, if I get in trouble here, like it's not like a slap on the wrist. Like it means something.
Yeah, like y'all are used to just getting in trouble and then rolling it off, but like this could possibly be a transfer to the rest of my life going downhill. And I think that's important, and that's what I love so much about what the topics and the issues that we attack on Saved by the Bell. From yes, being a Black man who's constantly wrongly accused of something, or for Josie being the first real true transgender representation in high school on television. There's so many interesting topics that we are not afraid to explore and that we dive into that can help people really put themselves in other people's shoes and say, okay, well, maybe this does fit.
When the original show was on, I mean, those kids were sophomores for 5 years. Do you know what I mean? Like they were probably 35 years old when they finished the run. How do you propose you keep your character looking young?
That's a good question. Well, it's actually pretty easy because Jamie is like a child on the inside anyways. So I kind of just let that shine through. He's such a little baby. But I don't know, whatever Mario is doing, I guess I'll just ask him for advice.
Yeah, whatever bananas and Fountain of Youth he got going.
Yeah,
on.
whatever he's eating.
Ah, Bayside.